deep, let the soul lift. The podcast to grow with. The clarity is potent. Take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast is to grow with. The clarity is potent. Take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast is to grow with. The clarity is potent.
Hey friends, Coach Angie here for another episode of The Dynamic Pause with Coach Angie. And today I have a new friend. I'm today Carla Bell, and she is so cool. I can't wait for you guys to hear more from her. I'm going to read some information from her bio because I want you to kind of hear just how it is condensed, but we're not going to stay there. We're going to let her riff a little bit about herself, and then we're going to dive into some of these questions that we have this episode. And I can't wait for you guys to learn more about Carla. So let's get into it. Welcome, Carla. Welcome. All right. So let me read. Carla Bell is an activation leader and a powerhouse of purpose. Come on, what? Okay. She inspires high performing professional women to silence fear, grow in purpose, and say yes to their next level without waiting for permission. With over 16 years of leadership experience in the federal government, Carla understands what it means to lead under pressure and make decisions when the stakes are real. Her work focuses on the moment most people avoid, the space between knowing what to do and actually doing it. Okay, we're going to snap up for that because that's real. Okay, Carla does not trade in motivation. She specializes in activation. Through direct truth, clarity, and practical tools, she helps women break cycles of hesitation, procrastination, and self doubt so that they can move forward with confidence and follow through. She is the founder of the Say Yes Conference, which is a transformational experience designed to move women from hesitation to action and activate the next chapter of their lives. Her tagline: nothing changes until you move. Okay? Come on now. Like, that is so awesome. So thank you, Carla, again for being here with us, and tell us some more. What else do you want us to know about you?
Well, wow, that was a mouthful. First and foremost, Coach Angie, thank you so much for having me. This is such an amazing experience. This is such an amazing thing that you are doing. I love the platform that you have created, and
Thank
I am
you.
so elated to be a part of it. So thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. So, yes, I am super excited for the work that I am doing. I come from a very large family, seven sisters and five brothers. And yes,
Ooh.
we are all the same parent. But we had tragedy at a very young age. At the age of 15, I lost my father to a heart attack. And then 6 years later, my mother, she succumbed to liver cancer while I was in college. And so I am not a stranger to grief. And but what it did was teach me resilience
Yeah.
because you still have to move forward. And I still want to make my parents proud. And being one of the older siblings, not the oldest, but one of the oldest siblings, I'm the fourth child. I still had to be able to be there for my younger brothers and sisters. So with that being said, I continue to just be Carla, be who I am, and matriculated through college and
Mhm.
got a job and, life sometimes started life in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just knew there was so much more out there for me that I wanted to do. I've always been a very natural relationship builder. I have a vast network. I'm an Aquarius, an outgoing, extroverted. I call myself an ambivert because
Okay.
I have very introverted ways, but I get my energy from people. I love being around people. I love to support other people. I love to be very intentional with how I move with other people and my friends. Um, so it's very important for me to support others. Um, with that being said, I took time to just look at things that I felt like in my spirit there was so much more than what I was doing. I loved what I was doing in the federal government, loved it, loved the mission of what I do. But I felt like there was more, like the impact.
Mhm.
And I knew that there are things that I struggle with, and I'm like, I cannot be alone. I struggle with procrastination. I struggle with imposter syndrome. People will see something in me that I didn't see in myself. And it was those moments where I said, I know there's something more out there that I could be doing. And one day it just hit me. I witnessed my best friend just killing it. She always would start something and finish. I would
Okay.
start something, I would not finish, honey.
Right,
Do you hear
right,
me?
right.
Oh, girl, I want to do this. And I'll start. Then I know I'm like, well, I don't want to do that no more. It's too
Right.
much. Well, let's try this. And I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't think that's for me. Let's do something else.
Okay.
Um, and so it just got to the point where I would start things, but I never finished. And I didn't like that about myself. For 2 years ago, I embarked upon a journey of personal development.
Right.
And I joined a community. Um, the company is called Next Level Speakers Academy.
Okay.
Love the founders of this organization and the community they had, and it just gave me that motivation. And I didn't know what I needed. You know how someone said, "What questions do you have for me?" And you're like, "I don't know what to ask." I had to go through the motions, and so I just kind of was wading in the water, just trying to figure things out until
Mhm.
I get clarity on my own. And being a woman of faith, I just ask God to just direct my path, order my steps, let things be in His perfect will and not His permissive will. And He spoke to me and He said, "You should be out here doing things in the community with women empowerment. That's who you are." And I always said, I always wanted to do a conference, but I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the know how. I didn't have the how do you start kind of thing. What do I need to
Mhm.
do? Um, but me starting to go to these events, I just started watching, observing, asking a few questions. And I said, I could do this. I have a community. I have the resources. And God was like, you just need to start.
That's
I'm going to
it.
put people and the resources to handle your blind spots. Because there are things I'm like, it ain't even my ministry, honey. Like, you got to do that.
Right, right.
But, I started, Angie.
That is
I just
so
started
awesome.
and it has come to fruition. I just started. I just
Wow.
started the people asking for help, told them what my vision was, and
Here
it's
we
coming.
are.
And yes,
Yes,
here
and
we are.
here we
Eh,
are. That is so awesome. That whole vibe is so cool. I love that. Like even when we were talking the other day, I could just feel the energy coming through the phone. I could feel, I felt all of that. Everything that you just described about how you are with people and your journey, it really did translate when we were talking on the phone the other day. So I was so glad that you said yes to wanting to be on the show. So this is a treat for me as well. As per usual, I am blessed to get to sit and have these kinds of conversations with amazing leaders. And you're definitely on that list, hunty. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we're gonna pop in right now and get into some questions. So Carla, thank you so much for sharing that. And it's gonna get even more clear to people what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and I'm hoping they get to learn a little bit more about you based on these questions that we are, bringing to the forefront and how these things that you've endured in your life and the things that you've accomplished and the things that even the things that you had to just kinda sideswipe a little bit because 'cause you're like, "Nah," how all of that feeds into the life and journey of a leader.
yeah,
And it just really connects to my coach approach and everything that I like to bring to leaders like yourself. I call it the dynamic pause because it's more than just a pause. What makes the pause dynamic is what we learn in the process of that pause, what we learn in the process of walking through it. And my pause has a few pillars, and I say something about this on every show just because I want people to understand when we're saying these things that it's connected to something. But I have 3 pillars: my pause to breathe, which is where the clarity moment happens and where a lot of my high performers won't let themselves do. They won't let themselves stop. You'd be surprised. Even in procrastination, we still are doing 500 things and we're moving 500 miles an hour. So, but we don't pause and let that clarity moment happen to where we can kinda just reassess where we're at and if this is where we wanna be, kind of a vibe. And then we move into pause to negotiate, which we're negotiating with whatever that clarity is that has come up, and then making it solidified, making it an identity piece. And then
Mm.
from there, we move to pause to innovate, like, "Hey, I done did all this work. What am I doing with it now? What am I about to make happen with what I have paused to breathe and paused to negotiate over? Now it's time to innovate." And I love what you said in your bio about how you are about activation. Activation says it all, man. I'm telling you, that's what we're working toward. And most of us, not just high performers, but that's my clientele, that's my people, but highly productive people, high performers, we're all about the activity. We're all about like, let's get it popping. We're gonna be the ones that's usually pushing people forward, keeping the thing moving, all of that. But there are times where we really do need to like, even in that, pause and say, okay, hold up. I know I'm good at moving things, but am I moving the right thing? I know I'm good at moving things, but what did I leave down the road that I really should have kept? To your point, what did I quit and really was something meant for me to keep working on and working at because that's the thing where I'm supposed to be. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for all of that. So let's jump in. All right. So your work centers on activation, like we were just talking about, moving from knowing to doing. And my framework talks about pausing strategically. On the surface, that might seem like it's not at the same space or that they could be at odds, but I suspect it's a little different, right? So, how do you see the relationship between intentional pausing and decisive action?
Wow, that's a good question. So I think they're very similar if you think about it. I think that it's very important to pause so that you can seek clarity, take a pause, try to figure out what you're doing that's not working. And it goes back with the word being intentional. And
Mhm.
so I've paused many a times in
Yes.
my life and in my career um, to just kind of sit with myself and seek clarity. I took a moment to start doing personal development where I took a whole year of learning how the art of speaking, learning a little bit more about personal development, being more intentional about my leadership skills and trying to figure out what route do I want to take. And then I said, I cannot sit in this personal development forever. Now it's time for me to move.
Time to move.
Time to stop, pause then, honey. And you gotta
Yes.
and you got to activate. And so I think that's the part of the dynamic pause that I have transitioning to. It's okay to pause for the moment. It's okay to pause in a season. So I was in a season of pausing.
Mhm.
Now I'm in the season of activation.
Yes,
So
activation.
activating and moving and just doing it. And you have to do it scared. You have to do it chaotic. You can do it unorganized. But if you are doing it and people see you moving, they're going to support you because there are a lot of things that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm asking questions. And when someone brings something to me, I'll say, I'm not really sure. Like, for example, grant. I'm not really sure how grants work, but I have a friend who has a nonprofit and she lives off of grants. Her
Yeah.
business is structured around grants. And I know you and I spoke
Yeah.
briefly about grants. And I said, I want to be intentional with applying for grant and the world of AI now, honey, is amazing. So I just asked Claude and Chat GPT and Gemini, who are the best grants for what I'm
What
doing
you're doing.
and what works for me and what's the best way to be impactful and get the grantor attention and
Yeah.
helping me, thank God, to this new AI thing that I'm starting to learn a little bit more about. So, going back, I don't want to get off on a tangent.
No, you're
I
fine.
just think that the correlation is very similar.
Yeah.
It's different wording. but we all looking for the same results. And
Exactly. And when you describe that, I hear what I imagine in my head is that innovation, like, because you've done all of the you've paused, figured those things out. It does you no good to pause, to breathe and get clarity, negotiate the clarity, own it, and then not do anything with it, right?
correct.
So
And
that's where
that's
that that's the last pillar for me, is like that pause to innovate. That's your activation stage. Like, let's get to it. Like, here, we've got the information. Now what? You know?
and then we have to ask ourselves, why are we pausing? And that's
Yes.
where the fear comes in. That's when you have to ask yourself, that's where the imposter syndrome comes in. That's where you think that you're not good enough or you're comparing yourself to the next person. And that's where community comes in. You just need one or two people to really see something in you, to support you, to push you right on along, to say, okay, I can do that. And I will share a little small story. I'm growing up, as I stated earlier, I'm one of 13 siblings. And my mom was my biggest supporter growing up,
Aw.
right? I love to sing, and but I always had fear on stage. Stage fright was a big thing for me, still is
I get
to
it.
this
Me
day.
too.
Getting on stage, love to sing, love to do all the things, but I get fearful. Like I got a tinkle, that means I take a bio
Yes,
break every
yes.
5 minutes and finally get on stage, and then I'm comfortable after I start. But the idea of getting on stage was always an issue for me. But it was always a great feeling to look out in the audience and look around and say, where's my family? And I'll see my mom and I'll see her giving me that words of affirmation, the confirmation, like, yes, baby, I see you, you're doing it. Like,
Yes.
are you doing a good job? And that would just give me the zeal to continue to move forward.
Um,
And when my mom passed away, I still look for validation, but I look for it in other places,
sure.
right? And so sometimes you just need just that one person or two people to believe in you, to say, yep, you got it, you can do it. You have something. You don't see it, but we do, kind of thing. And
That's
that's
so
where I used to get it from my mom. Now I get it from my siblings, the family. They 100% support all the ventures and all the things, and all my very close friends.
yeah.
They're always like, "What are you doing now? Where you traveling to now? What are where you going now?" So, and then it's a little bit of me now having a little bit more confidence because people are supporting, people are showing up. And so the confidence plays a big role in it. When you are confident and where you are, that comes
Mhm.
from repetition. That comes from people finally saying yes to you, if that makes
Right.
sense. So
Right. That's so good. Oh my goodness. So there's a moment that we realize that we're not just doing a job, right? There comes a time when we kind of figure that out. We're becoming a leader. That was happening to you, at some point in your life. When did that shift actually happen for you? And was there a situation or a season that stands out for you that you were like, this isn't just about who I am, this is about what I do.
So leadership has always been easy for me. Me being a leader has been very easy because it's a natural thing for me. Being the fourth child, being one of the older ones, my younger siblings always looked up to the older siblings. And we've always had to be the ones to pull them up and be there to support them and all that good stuff. So being a leader was always very easy. And I don't like to use terms alpha, beta, things like that, but I am naturally an alpha female as well.
Okay. Okay.
I have a very dominant personality. I'm not afraid to ask for assistance. I'm not afraid to build a network. And so I have a very, very confident personality as it relates to leadership. It trickles over into your professional career and as well. And so
Yes.
me being a leader has never been an issue for me. That's easy. That comes naturally. Just like kind of honing in on the skills of how to be a great leader, that's where you have to develop those skills.
Mm.
And that's, having empathy and emotional intelligence and all the things. And then being able
Yeah.
to meet your employees where they are, uh, being able to understand how to communicate with each and every employee because everybody communicates completely different.
Different.
So,
Yep. That's so
and that's
good.
where we comes in.
Mhm. That leads me to this next question, because or it kinda just goes right into it, because 'cause you're known for direct truth is what you shared with us, and breaking cycles of self doubt. When a woman sits across from you, drowning in hesitation and procrastination, what's the negotiation you're actually helping her have with herself?
So I think the biggest thing is to ask people, what is stopping you? Ask them, why are you not doing the thing? Why aren't you moving? And you have to kind of dissect that.
Yeah.
What is stopping you? Why aren't you moving? And that requires you to be vulnerable. So, how a person is able to be vulnerable, how I've been able to get other women or other individuals to be vulnerable, is to be open and sharing about my personal experiences.
Mhm.
And they feel much more comfortable, like, I'm not in this by myself. You experience that too? Because they look at me as this person who have it all together. And I'm like, girl, I struggle with my weight. I struggle with procrastination. I struggle with all the things,
Huh.
but I'm doing it. So they can hear your story in them that allows them to really be able to dissect and understand where their outliers and where their flaws are and how can they move forward and move past it. That's what allows them to be able to dissect and be able to uncover the mask of why they're where they are. Yes.
Mm, that's so good. And I find that true to point when you're talking to most women, but it's men too. Anybody who's grown up in a way that you can't really make mistakes, that you have to get it right first time out. Like if people didn't learn the art of messing up or the art of making mistakes and not really understanding that most of the people that they're looking up to have already learned how to fail, that's why they got to where they were. You know what I'm saying? If we don't learn how to have a hiccup or a bump in the road, or sometimes it's a whole tree that fell down and we gotta chop through that, you know what I'm saying? But if we don't learn that even when it's our fault that the tree fell, there's still life on the other side. There's always a way to get up and get going and get, just picking a different path and choosing to do something with even that, right? And then, you and I had talked little bit about some of the personal stuff the other day. And it's like we could use that as a reason to just like freeze up and like, if I'm not great at that, then what am I doing? And, and not that we don't have those moments, but that's when it's really cool where people can run into people like yourself and learn how to get that yes, that yes to themselves. That yes to themselves, because that's the one that we tend to reserve the most.
Yeah, I was talking to our mutual friend,
Uh-huh.
and he said he called me and he said, "Carla, I want to say yes too. Men like to say yes." And so it
Exactly.
was really funny that you mentioned that is because when we had this conversation, he was saying that he was saying yes to everybody else. And I said, that's not the narrative that I'm pushing. You say yes to everyone else because
Mhm.
when you say yes to everybody else and you don't say yes to yourself, you're
Yeah.
doing yourself a disservice. Because once you go down, guess what? Everything else around you is going down. So you have to make sure you're saying yes to yourself inside and out, all the
Yeah.
things, so
Yeah.
that you can be there to say yes to other people.
And we miss that message sometimes, even especially if we're older siblings. It depends on what kind of weight that was put on us in that role. But a lot of times when you've been a leader or if you're the one that's out front, you get told that you set yourself aside, and what they don't tell you is that you need to take care of yourself in order to be able to be there for everybody else. If you don't take care of yourself, then what ends up happening is what we see happening to a lot of people is they run and do everything all the time for everyone else, literally kill over, and all people do is find somebody else to start doing that stuff for them. And
That part.
and you're up here,
That part.
you're the one in the hospital, you're the one if you lived, because there are too many men and women, but that one of the highest killers for us is heart attack. And how
Mm,
does that come? It comes from
right.
the way that we live our life and that stress that we carry, that we don't really feel like we're carrying it because we do it so well. So we've fooled ourselves into thinking that we're not really stressed. That's literally what I told my naturopaths many years ago. And I just was clueless. I had no clue because I had adjusted too well. to what I was doing, and my eyes and goal was way far ahead of the actual situation that I was living through, and it was really and I didn't learn my lesson, and I didn't in that moment. I've
Yeah.
learned it since, but in that moment, I did not learn my lesson, and my body started wanting to tell me some things like, "Hey, you don't wanna listen? It's been, like, 5, 6, 7, 8 years since that man told you that.
You don't listen, I'm gonna make you listen.
So
Imma
let
sit
me
you down.
just do this, poke here, poke there, and thank God nothing has been, like, irreversible, but they were definitely signs that my body was like and even now since I'm more conscious of it, I'm like, "Oh god, I'm sorry. I wanna do it right." And, starting to look at things a little bit differently. Like we said, we gotta take care of ourselves. What are we putting in our bodies? What are we putting in our ears? Even from ourselves, about ourselves, what are we doing?
Yep, I had a conversation with my supervisor just today, and she is an advocate of work-life balance,
Okay,
100% through and
okay.
through, and she sometimes don't practice what she preaches. And so we had to have a conversation today, and I had to remind her, you have to advocate for yourself. You are always telling me to advocate for myself. You're always telling me to take care of myself. I have to remind you that you have to take your own advice. And so when you mentioned that, that was another example of someone not saying yes to themselves. They're
Mhm.
saying yes to everybody else, but they're the ones that's the most stressed. And you're not going to be any good to your family if you go down. So
Your family, your friends, your
to yourself,
future. Yes, your future, because the things and the goals that you have, procrastination or not, if you don't take care of your body, your mind, you're not gonna get to do those things. Even if you decide to later, you're gonna be, like, too exhausted or too wiped or too busy having to put energy toward taking care of your physical self, because that takes a lot.
health is wealth. And that is one of the biggest struggles that I still to this day struggle with.
Same.
And I've been very intentional this year. I did a 14-day raw fast
Okay,
or raw food cleanse, not a
okay.
fast,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
raw
yeah.
raw food cleanse 14 a few days ago. I finished about a week ago.
Oh,
And I felt so amazing.
uh,
But I want to continue doing it because it made me feel really good. I saw the inflammation going away. I wasn't taking any, blood pressure pills because I am on blood pressure medication. Which thank God that's the only thing I'm taking.
yeah,
Um, but I don't want to be on any type of medication.
yeah.
So I'm too young. You hear me?
I hear it. I
So
hear
all the
it.
things, do all the things. So if I'm saying yes in this area of my life, I want to be able to say yes in every area of my life.
Mhm.
I believe that health should be one first and foremost because I'm not going to be able to have this conference if I'm not saying yes to my health and I'm not around to be able to bring it to fruition. So
100%. Uh, that is so good. So here's another one. So fear shows up differently for high performers. And sometimes that looks like perfectionism, overthinking, or not the right time yet. That's kind of what comes up for them. Really, when they're doing that, that's truly like fear, right? So when you help women silence fear as a part of what you do, what are they typically negotiating with?
they're negotiating with just getting started. A lot of people say, including myself, so I'm talking to myself right now. You're talking to self. You're saying, I want to do this, but you are afraid of being judged. You are
Mhm.
afraid of making a mistake. You are afraid of it failing. You are afraid of
That's a good
so
one.
many
Yeah.
things. And so you're like, or people just looking at you and saying, why are you doing that? And instead of saying, I'm just going to do it and just do it scared. And so I have to use myself as an example in all of these examples. It's because that was me. So
Yeah.
when I speak to women, I'm very quick to tell them that we use perfection. I don't want to do anything until I get all this started. Like someone says, "Oh, I want to be a content creator, but I don't want to start until I get all of my videos together,
Girl.
content together. Then I'll start putting things out."
That's
I
that's
apologize.
a good take. I love that you said that though, because Man, that hits home. Like, even when I was, like, getting this question ready, I'm like, I'm asking something that I know that I have done and do, like, and I have to catch myself and reel it back and be like, "Angie, why are you overthinking that too hard?" Like, if I was talking to anybody else about something that they were doing, I'd be like, "Girl, what you waiting for? Just go do it, okay? You
Exactly.
don't need any more
Exactly.
content. You don't need any more, you know,
Just
I was
start.
yes, exactly. I was at a conference or a symposium where one of the panelists was talking about that with regard to data and AI and chatbots and the things like that, which are like I had a awesome moment yesterday in some planning that I was doing, but I had a moment where I hadn't touched it in a while because I got frustrated, you know what I mean? And so I popped back in there because I'm like, Angie, you're paying for this, go use the tool. It's just one of those things where you've got tools in your hands to use, but what he was saying is you can get stuck there just collecting content, whether it is video, whether it is captions, whether whatever it is, you could just be collecting information. You got to stop at some point and use the information that you're collecting. If it's helping you build strategy, you got to work the strategy. There's just that thing that holds us back. And I think as leaders and sometimes high performers, what we do is exactly what you said a second ago. We get so caught up in the process and how the process has to be a certain way, and then that we have to actually do step 1 through first before we even
Mhm.
let anybody know that we're wanting to do this, and we've gotta do step 30 through 50 before we make our first post, all of that, and, that really resonates with me, as you can see, it's just sticking with me, so, yes, I concur that I would be one of those people that you're talking about where
You know,
and not realizing it is fear. It
yeah,
literally is fear. Overthinking, procrastination, whatever the other one was, I can't remember right now, but yes, it is fear.
yes, yes. And I could take it even a step further when it comes to the health. You are stopping you from getting healthy, right?
Oh. Mhm.
That it's okay to because you think you're gonna mess up. Oh, I'm gonna get. I was supposed to start. I was supposed to start this diet or this cleanse, but I saw a cheeseburger and I was so hungry, and so or I had to go to dinner with some friends, and I wasn't able. Everybody around me, the peer pressure, everybody was having a cocktail, and I didn't want to not drink my what the. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be the only one drinking water. Everybody is around me drinking, and so I think for me when I have these conversations with myself and other women or other individuals, men and women alike, I have to remind them that it's okay to start and restart. Like
Yes.
you can it start because you're going to make a mistake because you're being so hard on yourself. One of my good friends always tells me, Carla, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself, and it's one of my mantras because when I'm hard on myself, I have to remind myself to be gentle. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and do it again tomorrow. Or
Yes.
let this be your cheat meal and then the next meal you need to be eating something healthy, you
Yeah.
know? And if you continue that progress, you continue doing that in your head, speaking those words over yourself, eventually you're gonna do it. Because I did that 14-day cleanse, baby, and I did not mess up, honey. You hear me? Like she got me the thing. But I also had community.
Yeah.
I joined a little small community group and I held myself accountable by posting the things that I did that day.
Yeah.
And that's what kept me going because I wanted to be able to tell them I did this, I did that, and then watching what the other people were doing as well. And so community for me plays a big role in your success. Wanting to be able to build this community, this conference, because you're a part of women who also struggle with the things. They also struggle with whatever they're dealing with. And so when you are in community and you see that this person has gotten out of the shadows of them saying no to themselves and finally saying yes. You're like, she does this, this, and this, and this. I do the same thing, but I know I can do it better. So if she can do it, I know I can do it too. We're here always straightening each other's crown. I always feel like there's room at the top for everybody.
Yes. I'm glad you said that because I was thinking while you were speaking just now about mindset. Like it's
Mm,
it's about our mindset, really. Um, the difference between diet and lifestyle is just mindset, right? So we might start off on a diet, we might call it that. But if the mindset work happens with it, we learn it's just a lifestyle switch. And it's what does it look like to include in your life taking care of yourself, right? Because we feel like it has to be this big, same kind of concept. All of a sudden, I'm so aware, and I've had all this knowing, and all this knowing just showed up in my body and in my mind and in my heart instantly just because I want it. And that's not realistic. So the realistic move is, hey, I know where I want to go, and I know that there's a journey for me to get there. There's a bunch of steps in between of where I am now in my mindset and where I want to be. I'm ready for this journey. And then in the journey, we end up finding out I'm worth taking care of. And we learn our relationship with some of the things that are bringing us down. For some
Mhm.
people, it might be alcohol or something like that. For some of us, it's the relationship with food. We do it when we feel good, we do it when we're sad. And I just had
Yeah.
it in too many slots. And so, what I've decided about the big journey, whether I get it right every day or not, is on the big journey, is that it doesn't get to take up as many slots as it was taking up on the reason that I'm engaging with this food. So therefore, I'm changing my relationship with food.
Yeah, and I also want to add to the mindset that you mentioned earlier. When I think about mindset, I always have to say when you're trying to change your mindset, it starts with a decision.
Yeah,
You have to make a decision in making the change.
yeah,
And you have to start, you know, positive in, positive out.
yes.
You have to be intentional. And so, a couple of things that I said I want to be intentional with this year, I want to be intentional about my friendships. My friends show up, my family show up percent. So this year, wanted to be more intentional with building those organic, intentional relationships, meaning checking on people, being showing up for them. I always show up,
Yeah.
but being more intentional. So Valentine's Day. So
Alright. Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
was the day before Valentine's Day. And with Valentine's Day, it's just basically celebrating your friends or your family women, just
Yeah.
celebrating women who support you fully. So this year, what I did was I sent them a little small sugar wish gift. I
Mm.
paid for it up front, sent them the text message, and let them pick a gift, and just basically let them know that they are appreciated. That I will always say yes to you. Thank you for being there for me. Happy Valentine's Day. Just a little small token of my appreciation and me being intentional in how I move as it relates to saying yes to
I
me
love
and to
that.
my friends.
I had a Galentine's event that I was invited to, and it was
Okay.
so fun. It was super fun, and one of my friends put it together, and we had a great time, and we kinda did the little trend where each person show up with for us, the number was 10, 10 of something, some item, and then each woman left with a goodie bag. So that was kinda cute. I hadn't done that before, and I'd wanted to,
Okay.
so I was like, "She beat me to it," so that was fun. I had a great time with that, and it's everything you said it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that support, the community, safe community, but also community that will challenge you. You don't wanna have people around you all the time that are naysayers. Not that we can't have friends that do that, because everybody needs friends, but they can't be the ones that are constantly around you enough to feed into and also to deprive what you're growing inside yourself. And so, but having those friends who are willing to challenge you, friends or family, when especially strong women or strong people, strong leaders need people in their lives that are strong enough to challenge them.
Yeah.
We take a lot of space up without trying. And so sometimes people just assume that if we say something that they can't say nothing to us. For me personally anyways, I hate that because I want people to feel like they can come. I would rather feel people like that they know that they can come and talk to me even if they feel like I've hurt their feelings or something like that. I don't like it when people assume something just because I might show up in my strength of how I carry myself or how I talk. It don't mean I don't wanna hear from you, but you gotta be okay with the answer too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that's just what keeps people from coming as well. And putting on that faith hat for a minute, even when say the Lord tells us to go talk to someone about something, he didn't say only go talk to him because you're gonna get the answer that you want back. If you feel like you're supposed to say something, you need to go say it. You need to say it in love and you need to say it, with everything that he's asking you to do, but you still gotta follow through and go ahead and say that thing. 'Cause I don't wanna be out there walking around with the spinach in my teeth because nobody wanted to tell me.
Yeah, I like to call it healthy community. And when you're in healthy community, you are in a community where people are able to still challenge you and cover your blind spot. So when I think of someone challenging me, I think of them covering my blind spot because
Yes.
we all have a lot of blind spots. You may be good in this area and you have your community that's able to pick up and handle those blind spots. So I call it healthy community. Doesn't mean that they're my yes man and yes woman
Oh,
that
100%, yeah.
will 100% support me and they 100% want to see me well. So they're going to cover those blind spots where I'm lacking. They're
Yes.
picking me up where I need to be challenged. And so
Yeah.
I don't want to have be in a community where someone is naysayer. I want to be in healthy community. Perfect. It just means that I have the full support of being healthy and challenging me where it need to be challenged, but also lifting me up when I need to be lifted up and also covering those blind areas when where the blind areas need to be covered.
Oh, yes. 100%, 100%. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the ladies in your life. I love how you've used yourself as an example in so much of what we've talked about today. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about that pause moment that you had? What led you to that year of personal development that you decided to take? What took place in your life? Can you recall, was there something specific or was it just over time that it led to that motion?
So I'm so glad you asked that question. Um, and I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but I have to be very clear and transparent about my thought process changing. So, as you know, I've been in the federal government for a very long time. I am at year 17 this year, will be year
Congratulations.
17. Love what I do, right? Had no desire to be an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, none of the things under my business. Because, honey, I love what I was doing and I made decent money. I took care of myself. I live a good life. I'm able to travel. I learned how to save, all the things. So I was comfortable where I was. I've always had a space where I always wanted a little more, but I was still comfortable. It was good, right?
Sure.
But I've been surrounded by women who have always wanted to push themselves to higher heights.
Okay.
My best friend, and I have a lot of best friends, but I have them in categories, if you
Sure.
will.
Yes.
My childhood best friends, my college best friends, my after college best friends, and like my newer best friends. I do have a very vast group of friends, but my best friend that I grew up with, my childhood best friend, she has always been one of my biggest supporters and someone that I've always looked up to. She says she looks up to me, but I look up to her.
I love it.
We're completely different, right? And she has always been a go-getter. She's always been trying to do things. She's a creative. Let's just say that she's a creative. And she has always been wanting to do her own thing, and I've always watched her and also supported her in her ventures. And so lately, she went viral because of her hair situation, and she started a business. Just started,
Oh,
and we were at one time when she first started the business. She put out, "Okay, I'm just going to start," but had no plan. And we were up for no lie, maybe 2 or 3 days straight with
oh
no
my
sleep,
gosh.
trying to fill orders. It was so delirious. We were starting to make mistakes. We was drinking energy drink to keep us awake. And finally, I was talking jibber jab, and I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. And I remember her falling asleep on the floor, just passing out. And I was like, I can't do this. But that was the beginning of me saying, I like what she's doing. I love the fact that she is creating another level of income and something that she loves to
He
do.
loves to do, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to still support her in this venture and this. She's like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I know there are certain things that I'm more gifted than she is, and she wants to do the summit. And I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to do this without her, me
Yeah.
being a part of this with her. And that was also another extra push. And then with the new administration, when my job was on the line, as far as we don't know if you're going to be rift, if you should take the DRP, if you want to do this, you want to do that. I always was comfortable.
Yeah.
While I still love the mission of what I do, I don't ever want to be in that position where I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I'm going to continue to get a paycheck, or if my job or my career or my livelihood is in someone else's hand.
Exactly.
And so that's what really pushed me
Okay.
to be able to do something different and have my own thing going, and me be in charge of my own success. And so that's what pushed me over the edge.
Oh, I love that. That's a beautiful story. And I was laughing, girl, I could just imagine y'all 3 days awake and keeping those orders out. That's why I was cracking up so hard. That is so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Coach Angie, Coach Angie, she had so many orders. It took us months. Like, she literally went viral. So proud of her. She went
Wow.
and overnight and had so many orders, but it was just two of us. We had to solicit, get help. And I'm like, she's like, I can get it done in a week. No, you cannot.
No.
No, you cannot. I had to bust those bubbles all day long. And I'm like, you saw what we've done. There's no way we can get this done. You're
Right.
going to either have to give all this money back, or you're
Right.
going to have to tell your clients, your customers, that you need to give them time. You need to give them
Yes.
time. And a lot of people were very understanding, but it was an amazing experience. And that's what gave me the drive, gave me the zeal, gave me the motivation that you can do it too. And so when
Yes.
supporting them and seeing what they've done, it just helped me get to do what I'm doing now.
Yep, you get to visualize it, you see it, you somebody you care about, somebody you love, you already look up to, all the things like you said, and you see how even in how you were able to come around her and help her fill holes. And then you had to be thinking, oh my gosh, I got these people in my life too. They can come around me and help me fill the spaces that I need. Okay, so if someone leaves this conversation with one practice, one way to integrate both the pause and the activation, what would you want them to do this week?
Start.
I love it.
Simple. Just start. When you start, you activate. When you move, you activate. You gotta move. And the clarity will come. I'm telling you, when I started, I had just a vision. I had no system.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of clarity, but I just started doing things, started talking to people about what I was trying to do, people giving me advice or asking me or challenging me. Well, what about this? What about that? I didn't think about that. Give me some time. I'm going to get back with you. And that's how I started to gain my clarity, because I moved. I started. So
That's
if I
so
can give you
awesome.
one word or two words, move and start.
Woo-hoo. Move and start, y'all. Move and start. This conversation was so awesome. Thank you again for coming. Thank you for spending this time with us. But where can listeners connect with you and what's happening next with the Say Yes conference? Now, I think that's coming up maybe sooner than this is going to air. So we're just going to go ahead and project that you will be preparing for your second Say Yes conference by the time people are seeing this. But tell us about it anyways. Let's hear it.
So how you can find me is, I would love for everyone to follow me on my Instagram, Say Yes Con. That's Say Yes CON. And or you can visit me on my website. My website is www.carlabellinspires.com. And it also has a component on there where you can actually tab to the Say Yes Conference. The Say Yes Conference is designed to help women silence their fear, but ditch procrastination, and say yes to the next chapter. And it's happening in the DMV area in Alexandria, Virginia. I signed a 2-year partnership with the Hilton Hotel.
Cool.
So this will be happening again in 2027. And it was very important for me to have it during Women's History Month. And so I can celebrate women, so I can empower women. And I said, I want to be consistent and have it second weekend of every March.
Of every March. Okay.
year, I plan on having it the second weekend of March
That is so
next
cool.
year. And hopefully by year 2 or year 3, I will have a multi-day
Oh,
event and add in, other components, more entertainment, maybe a gala or a concert or a talent show or something. I love the arts.
yes.
Like I said, I love to sing. So that's also very important to me. And then maybe I'll have more celebrity speakers in the mix as well.
Yeah, but you know what? You're the celebrity speaker. This was birthed out of you. This is your passion, and that's what people are gonna come for. They're coming for you, girlfriend. And, yeah, of course, if you get somebody else, fine, but that's not what this is about. You are the celebrity, so we're
Thank
coming to
you.
see you,
Period. I
okay?
have a Chili Tuesday.
Okay. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. Come again. Come again to the Dynamic Pause with Coach Angie and hear from more amazing leaders like Carla. Keep your eyes open for what she's doing. You heard it. You heard it here. It's amazing. It's going to be great. I can't wait to do a follow up with her to see how it went. But yeah, we want to know more. So thank you again, everyone. We'll see you next time on the Dynamic Pause with Coach Angie. Bye.